My name is Andrew Kula, and across from me is Anthony Meglin, at least virtually. And to be frank, I'm only here because I'm contractually obligated to be here. And I think, was it Marshawn Lynch back in the day? He said, "I'm only here so I don't get fined."
That's You nailed it, brother. Only here so you don't get fined. You doing all right? Hey, you doing okay?
No, I'm doing poorly. I'm doing poorly, and I'm not afraid to admit it. Um, man, what just a devastating week 15 loss for the Green Bay Packers. It's one of those losses that you don't even care about the loss at the end of the day. What you worry about is the long-term ramifications of that loss. So let's just get right into it. There's no use having small talk.
No.
Micah Parsons, it was confirmed that the star pass rusher tore his ACL. So that was confirmed on Monday. I don't know about you, Anthony. The second I saw that happen, I knew that's what it was. Just the way that it happened, you could almost see the pop in his leg.
Yeah.
Um, and now it seems as if everything is lost. That is
Yeah.
how I feel. That's
It's
how I feel.
it's let me talk you off the ledge here because
Okay.
yes, that is like it was horrible. It's as bad as it gets.
Yep.
You're right. It was one of those, Andrew, that like you everyone saw it and everyone knew right away. Boom.
Mhm.
That's exactly your worst fear. And everyone, and I know it, everyone tried to hang on for hope and try to, maybe there's a third opinion he could get, or maybe it didn't actually go. No, it was torn the second that it happened.
Mhm.
And it does suck. It's one of those things where it's like you mortgaged a lot for him, but I also think like he's young enough that like that this isn't going to derail his career. So that's positive. Now, in terms of this season, it hurts a lot, but there's still the Packers can still win football games, right? Like you can still, there's still going to be a chance. They're still going to be relevant here over the course of the last month of the season. And then when you get into the playoffs, anything goes. They have enough time here to figure out life without Micah. They have 3 weeks to put it together. And if you want to try to spin it positive, they're still going to be there. They're still going to be in the playoff picture, and it may be a little bit harder, but their team is still going to be good enough to at least win or be competitive in a lot of these games coming down the stretch.
I've always kind of frowned upon doing hard drugs before a podcast, but I'd like whatever it is that you're taking, man, because I don't agree whatsoever, man. And we can get into this. We'll get into like the
Sure.
nitty gritty of it all.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think this team is capable of winning without Micah Parsons. And I've thought about this. I've thought about it a lot. Like football is supposed to be the ultimate team game, right? So how can I say with a straight face that one player makes or breaks a Super Bowl run? I just want to focus on the defense first. Everything that Brian Gutekunst, the general manager of the Packers, put together this offseason was contingent on Micah Parsons, right?
Mhm.
You've got two pass rushers in Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness, who neither have lived up to their potential as first round picks, but you go get a guy like Parsons because you think, you know what, he's going to raise their level of play. They did not go and do anything meaningful at the cornerback position outside of going to get Nate Hobbs, who frankly sucks. So but the idea again there was we're bringing in Micah Parsons, who is
Mhm.
automatically going to help our corners because of his ability to get after the pass rush. And so, at least in my opinion, Anthony, the whole thing breaks down when you take out that piece. And maybe that's the risk you run when you put so much onto one player. But at least how I've seen it, that's how they've constructed this defense. It's meant to go around Parsons.
Yeah, there's no question about that, and I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth here because I know I've got on this show pretty much every week and said, "Hey, sack numbers aren't everything, for
Mhm,
a pass
mhm.
rusher, right?" When Micah Parsons lines up, the first thing a quarterback does is looks and finds, all right, there's number one. We got to identify
Mm.
number one. Protection slide to him. All that stuff works to him. Yes, that is very true. But also, what is true too is that pass rushers, can make a handful of plays a game. And I look at, I look at the Bears are coming up this week, right? And
Mhm,
they're
mhm.
the head of the NFC North, and the 2 seed in the playoffs. They flip flopped with the Green Bay Packers. And last week, for example, and next week you'll see it too. The Bears are going to try to run the heck out of the football, and you remove Micah from that. it's going to be much harder. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be easier, but you're not going to be unable to stop them. And then you look at the game last week, like Micah had one tackle on the day, that, hey, you beat the then number one seed in the NFC. You're going to need guys to step up. But I do think that, yes, this is devastating. It's a devastating injury, but I think that the Packers can rebound, and you can try to glean a little bit of positivity from this one.
Can they rebound? I don't know. Let's get into it a little bit more. I want to talk just specifically about the player, Micah Parsons. You mentioned, he's a young guy. He's 26 years old. He's a freak athlete. We've seen kind of the timeline of these ACL injuries shrink down from over a year to now 9 to 12 months in a lot of cases. The Packers have a great example of that. Christian Watson came back in right around 9 months. So what are the expectations for you, at least, around what does this look like for Parsons?
Andrew, I think that, Watson's a great example inside the Packers facility, but all these guys, having an ACL surgery this isn't 10 years ago. 10 years ago, they have the ACL, and you're like, all right, he's going to lose a step or two and never be the same player again. There's a very real world where he comes back and he's just as dominant as he has been, right? Like that's just where science is. It's just where these guys take such good care of their bodies, and they can put so much time and money and resources into healing that properly that, my expectation is that, maybe it's not right away next year. You're looking at 9 months from today. That puts you at August. My math there, right? August. Yeah. August, July, somewhere in there. My expectation would be maybe not at the beginning of the season, but hey, imagine that jolt in the arm come October or November when he gets back and he's healthy and ready to go. And he's coming off, and he's an addition to this team. Man, it would be just like trading for him, like they did last year, or like they did in this calendar season. You know what I mean? Yeah,
you're kind of resetting in a way, with the hope that he does come back strong. I think we've seen it. With Watson specifically, it seems like he almost got faster and more athletic, and you wonder if this whole procedure and the process actually makes that ligament stronger nowadays. It used to be you're just repairing it. Now it feels like with these kind of things that the athlete even gets better.
It's amazing, man. And that's the thing, dude. Like you can get like a view into these rehab processes with these guys, like, whether it's on social media or whatever, but they just attack this rehab process. Like Patrick Mahomes, I just got a text. He already had surgery today. Like I would expect Patrick Mahomes to be back from his ACL for week 1 next year, right? Because he's like, I think it's a little bit different of a position, and he can be back. But these guys, they can put so much money into this and so much time and so much resources and energy to like just healing that ligament. I think you're right. Like it could sometimes be stronger when they return.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna hope that's the case. Let's look at kind of some bigger picture things right now, and here's topic number 2. The injury luck has sucked. Right, for the Packers. You lose Tucker Kraft midway through the season. That was a big blow. He was on a superstar trajectory. Obviously, you've now lost Micah Parsons, Elton Jenkins, who was a Pro Bowl center. They lost him earlier this season. I could go up and down the list. There are a ton of players that were injured in this Broncos game. But my bigger question for you, and let's have a conversation, man, is that just life in the NFL, or does the injury luck suck right now for the Pack?
It's all right. The cop-out is both, because injuries happen, right? The saying, right, Andrew, is that no team's 100% after they report to camp. You're never going to have a clean season. Yeah. But this is crazy for the Pack. Like this is, and it's not just like if it was just like backup players or rotational guys or whatever, it's your 2 best players you lost this year coming off, and you got Christian Watson's coming back from an ACL. It's like holy cow, and even Zach Tom goes down, and like all this, you're losing. The Packers are losing their best players, man. The injuries are bad in the NFL, but this injury luck the Packers are under right now it's terrible.
Yeah, I want to really complain about it and be like, oh, woe is us. But at the same time, the 49ers have been banged up for years now, right? The Detroit Lions last year, they lost 90% of their defense, including Aiden Hutchinson, who is a Parson-esque player, and they still won 15 games. So, there's always that saying that, especially this time of the year, nobody's healthy, right? In the NFL. You just kind of – you just kind of have to deal with it. But like you said, you can make a case that the Packers lost their best player on offense and now their best player on defense. And at two positions of high importance to the way things go too, so what do you attribute this to? Because I heard a really cool talking point, or not a cool talking point, but a good talking point, that these guys are getting bigger, stronger, faster, and ultimately, are they doing things that maybe the body's just not meant to do?
So these guys, I know kind of what you're getting at. Like the analogy to me is, someone once said it to me, like if a F-150 hits a bump in the road, you're not gonna feel it.
Right.
But if a Ferrari hits a bump in the road, it might break the axle, right? Where it's like all these guys are all sports cars, right? And they're so strong. They have no fat on their body. They're just all muscle. They're just the most athletic. Their muscles are the most explosive. And you make one wrong step, and your ligaments can't handle the power that your body generates. It's I'm certainly not going to get into doctor mode right now, but like, man, it's absolutely it's a credible a credible talking point, and one that I could understand. Like that is very much so a potential option to be like, hey, why is this happening? Well, these guys are too strong, or they're too athletic. You know what I mean? Like that's something I could get behind.
There's the phrase quick twitch athlete, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe it's not a shock that the two players that we think about, at least from Packers perspective, when it comes to ACLs right now, Christian Watson, who had one last season, and Micah Parsons. And if you're going to say that somebody's a quick twitch athlete, it'd be those two guys, right? And they use their feet and their legs to such a advantage for them. But you have to wonder, when you're doing this over a 17-game season, eventually there's gonna be wear and tear. Brings up another point. Why are we going to add an 18th game? That's
and even so, like, you get late in the season, they're still playing on Thursday nights. They're still, I know that doesn't revolve around the Packers, but like you get to these Thursday night games, like dude, this week's a perfect example. The Rams and the Seattle Seahawks are playing for first place in the NFC West, and Devontae Adams is not going to be able to play because he pulled his hamstring on Sunday, and they have to play on Thursday. Like, if you want to do Thursday nights from from September through October, cool. Once you get into real football time, man, like, cut that out, get that of it. I'm getting way off track here, but
no, it's not. I think this is a conversation that has to be had in the NFL, because just this week they lost two of their superstars.
Yes,
arguably because they're putting so much pressure on these guys to keep going out there.
There's no question, and then you get into a situation where I'm looking at, and just because it's on the top of my mind, I just watched the clip of it, but like Mahomes, his injury was he was getting tackled and he kind of got rolled up. The scary ones, and the ones that really fit our conversations, are what happened to Parsons, where he is just trying to chase, and he does plant, and he does go to extend, and his ligament tears, and that is wear and tear. That's the strength of the body, all that stuff. But you get so late in the season, man, and you get into these cold environments, and you're up in the mountains of Denver, and it's not comfortable, it's cold, and you get these guys all revved up, and man, it's just frustrating. You wish that part wasn't a part of the game, because
at the same time, that's why we love NFL football, right?
Yeah,
because you add in the elements, you add in the uniqueness of, hey, I have to go play in Denver and I can't breathe. Or I have to go to Buffalo and there's 12 inches of snow on the ground. It's a catch-22. As fans, I'd love to see more football that's meaningful. Take away another preseason game and give me another regular season game. That's fine. But ultimately, they might be hurting their product, not from an oversaturation standpoint, but from an overuse of these great athletes.
So it's funny. I've been waiting for, and you may have this may be the conversation I've been waiting for, because you get to say extend it to 17 games, and then they're going to extend it to 18 games. And, the saying is, like, what is it? Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. And at what point do you cross that threshold? Mm-hmm. And for me, it's like you said, from a consumption standpoint, people are going to watch football. I would watch football in April if you let me, like that. And many people I probably would agree with that. But these guys can't take it, man. These players, these athletes cannot take this much. I mean, the winner of the Super Bowl this year is going to have to play 20 games, right?
Oh, it's incredible.
which is crazy, right? Like that's a crazy, crazy, crazy number.
Yeah, it's just something's gonna eventually break somewhere, and maybe it's losing guys like Parsons and Mahomes, and you hate to see it as a fan, but ultimately something's gotta give, right? Something's gotta give. So
and you look at it too, and I'm trying to pull up the schedule now, but from the like let's just use the Chiefs. Okay, perfect example, right? Everyone talks about, hey, let's add more games. Nobody wants to watch Gardner Minshew versus Cam Ward next week, and also nobody wants to watch Gardner Minshew versus Kenny Pickett on January 4th, right? Like, and they play the Raiders. Like those aren't the 18th game is really. I don't know. I don't know how the players are going to handle it. I don't know how they're going to accept it. It's going to be a really tough sell, in my opinion. But it's not going to be much of a sell because they're just going to say, "Here's 18 games, go play them." Yeah, I don't know where that threshold is, man, and it feels like we're close to it.
It's the old saying. That's what the money's for. That's what it's.
That's
what the money's for. You enjoy having half a knee, but also enjoy your $140 million.
Yeah, true. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right,
are they going to pay us money to watch bad football? Can we get some money?
We get paid something. I know we get something, but
we get happiness. We get chicken wings and pizzas and beers.
That's right. And maybe one day that $140 million will come our way if we're lucky.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's get back to the Pack. So here's why I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this injury. Again, a loss that felt more than a loss because the pressure is now on Matt LaFleur. Yeah, we talked about this. The Bears are up next. You got to go to Chicago, play a Sunday night football game at Soldier Field. The Bears are rolling, despite the fact that the Packers just beat them. They went out and crushed your Browns, and I'd love to hear your take on the Bears. I don't know if LaFleur is the guy who can take a team that's under adversity and turn them around. And I understand that I said this earlier in the season, and he did kind of figure out ways through that. But this one almost feels like it's too late in the season,
And I would even add to that too, like it's going to get uncomfortable for Packers fans and like yourself and Evan when we talked to you, you guys were in week 4 this year saying that like LaFleur, I don't know if he's the man for the job, and like I know that's not just your thoughts, like that's the thoughts of Packer community and Packers Nation, and add this to it, it's going to get very loud because this would be a hard scenario for every coach in the NFL. It's going to be very hard for him. And the worst part is it's going to put Jordan Love under like a big microscope. Like the teams that can get out of situations like this have the quarterback that can say, all right, screw it. Put us on a parking lot with the worst kids from the recess class, and I'll go win the football game because I'm that good. Right. And like, it's going to put both of them under this crazy microscope. And I don't know, man, we've gone back and forth several times on LaFleur like this. We're going to learn a lot about him. We're going to learn a lot about him these next 3 games.
Well, and Packers fans have, rightly or wrongly, towards Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur, we have this thing that we can point to and say, well, we could throw Aaron Rodgers on the parking lot and give him James Jones and his turtleneck and he'd make a chicken salad out of what. And that's who Rodgers was because he was an MVP quarterback. That's who Brett Favre was because he was an MVP quarterback. We've had these conversations about Love being MVP adjacent, right? I know you haven't felt like he's there yet. I think the game against the Broncos showed that he's probably not there yet. Do you think he can elevate over these next 3 games here?
He has to. Like, this is like the growing point where it's like, hey, when you look back on Jordan Love's career, right, let's say 5 years from now and he's playing at an MVP caliber level, maybe he's got a ring, maybe he's got a couple MVPs to his name, you'll look back at a situation like this where he has to take that next step. If you want to be Aaron Rodgers, if you want to be Brett Favre and continue this legacy, like this is when you do it. You got the number 2 seed. You're going to face the number 2 seed Chicago Bears. That is the Green Bay Packers' little brother. That is little brother. And if you go in there and show that, hey, it's loud. We don't have Kraft. We don't have Parsons. The world's on fire around us. And we go in there and he plays well and he beats the Bears. Yeah, everyone's going to take a big, deep breath and be like, okay, they can do this. Now, the flip side's also true, Andrew. If he goes in there and shits the bed and plays very bad and has those those 1 or 2 plays a game where we're all like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
And they lose the football game. That's also a bad sign too. And that's that next step. Like, it's either going to go one way or the other. He's either going to elevate or digress into something that you don't want to see.
Yeah. And the man, I don't know. That first half of the Broncos game, I was watching him play, and I was thinking, this is an ascension. He had a great first half, man. Some of those throws were incredible. And then Watson goes down, and you can kind of feel the air come out of the room a little bit. And then Parsons goes down, and it was like they just got knocked out. And that's why I go back to Matt LaFleur, because I've never seen the ability from him to take a team that hits adversity and be able to move through it. We've talked in the past about kind of that frantic energy he has, and it's even being called out by the announcers a little bit, that he's just kind of looking nervous and pacing around out there.
Yeah.
Let's talk football. Let's not talk personalities. Let's talk football. If you're LaFleur, what's your ideology here? How are we going to game plan to win without Micah Parsons, maybe without Christian Watson this week? Are we just leaning on Josh Jacobs because he looked pretty damn good the other day?
Yeah, you got to. In my opinion, you lean into your best players, and I think some of those good things that we've talked about in the past. You look at that wide receiver room, right? You may not have Christian Watson. You're obviously not going to have Tucker Kraft, but that room is a lot of good, right? It's a lot of good players in that room, and you got to be able. This is where, Andrew, like, you get hired as this offensive mastermind. All right, how do we get these guys involved? How do we get Romeo Doubs rolling and Jaden Reed and all these guys? How do they get going? Luke Musgraves, how can we scheme them up? And then it is, how do we get Josh Jacobs rolling? Like, that is it. It's Jordan Love, it's Josh Jacobs, and it's that combination of scheming those guys open. And guess what? The Bears know that. The Bears know that, hey, the Packers are going to be shorthanded and the pressure's going to be on them. Guess what they're going to be? This is what they're going to do. They're going to take Josh Jacobs away the best that they can. Man, it's a tough answer. If I had the answer for it, I'd be coaching in the NFL. But man, it's a tough question to ask. Like, what do you think? Like, it's Josh Jacobs and hope and pray.
Let's just focus on 1 week at a time. Right now, I think what you have to do is win the possession. Win possession battle, time of possession. Okay, so I do think, as annoying as it is as a fan, as annoying as it is as somebody watching the game, if I'm at LaFleur, I'm churning clock, burning Jacobs, using Emmanuel Wilson, who's a pretty darn good second running back, and then letting Love get out there with Romeo Doubs and Wicks and Matthew Golden on play actions, and just letting the game come to them, if that makes sense. Defensively, I think there's, obviously this is a problem for Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator, but my concern, and let's just go right into topic 4 with this, and I kind of switch things up on you. The Bears are up next, right? And defensively speaking, we saw that Caleb Williams, while maybe he's not a perfect quarterback, he can really hurt a team with his legs, getting out on the run. Ben Johnson really seemed to enjoy bootlegging him out to the right. The other in the last game at Lambeau here, you've now lost your guy who can contain the edge in Parsons. So in my world, maybe you have a guy like Edgerrin Cooper, who's a hell of an athlete, or you have a guy like Quay Walker, your 2 linebackers, and do you spy on Williams and just try to take away his legs? That's probably the only thing I can think of. But then if you're putting one player on the quarterback, that's another player who can't get out there and actually play defense situationally.
It's really hard because you're not facing the Cleveland Browns next week, or that's a bad example. You're not facing the Raiders next week or the Titans, right? You're facing probably one of the best play callers in the league and a team that, like you said, is red freaking hot, right? They are red hot. They're playing confidently. They're playing as a team. Their offense is like their run game is amazing. Like, they're going to identify and take advantage of any holes that you have in your scheme. And guess what? Ben Johnson's going to say, "Damn, really sorry you guys lost Micah Parsons. Guess where I'm going to go?" And he's going to put his thumb right on that. Right at. They're going to go right at it. Right at every spot that would be Parsons is where he's going to attack. He's that good, and they're feeling it that well, man. It's going to be challenging.
So you got a really up and close look at the Bears, 31-3. They beat your Cleveland Browns. Now, I
I
think
erased it from my memory. It's gone. I
some
erased
of that is the Browns being the Browns. Okay, well, let's just chalk that up. Still, Caleb Williams, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns. You mentioned their rushing attack, 142 yards as a team, 2 touchdowns by DeAndre Swift. You saw them up close and personal. What's your take on? Obviously, they're hot. You think they've got a great coach, and I agree. Ben Johnson's a heck of a coach. What's your take on the talent of this team?
Yeah, I think that Caleb Williams, in my opinion, is like playing at such a confident level. Like we've been all waiting for this version of him to get here. And I think that even throughout this season, he's taken a couple lumps early and just is doing a really good job living in Ben Johnson's offense. He's not trying to do too much. Like I think back to last year where he floats around and he's got the ball hanging out and he's trying to like throw the ball through guys, right? He's doing just a really nice job of like, all right, it's play action. Let me get it to my completions. Let me take the easy throws. And then when he has an opportunity to take a shot, he takes calculated shots. Like you'll see the highlight of DJ Moore's second touchdown catch last week. They were in the red area. They were in a good spot. They were up plenty of scores that he took a risk and the risk worked out. And had it not worked out, it wouldn't have cost the Bears anything. Right. Mm-hmm. So he's just playing at such a confident level and he's doing it, Andrew, because they have the best run game in the NFL, bar none. Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift are so good. They complement each other so well. And they're schematically up front. It's just wrinkle after wrinkle after wrinkle after wrinkle that he's throwing at these defensive lines and these front sevens that he's creating holes that you and I could get yards on. Like that's just what they're doing. And they're doing it. They're playing so connected right now. And it's frankly, it's fun to watch. And if you're not playing against them, it's just like very fun football that's going on over there.
Yeah. Well, that's I hate to say it, but that's what it was like when Johnson was with the Lions, right?
Yeah.
And he's a heck of an offensive mind, man, and he really gives them an edge. So let's talk about our last topic here. The NFC North is still up for grabs, right? Mm-hmm. It feels like the world has ended. At the end of the day, the Packers are still 9-4-1. Yes. They're right behind the Bears in the North. They just beat the Bears, so if they beat them again, I say there's a very large chance that they end up winning the NFC North. Here's my question, though, and I want you to come into the mind of a Packers fan.
Yeah.
Does it matter? Does it matter if the North is still up for grabs? Because ultimately, we were all thinking Super Bowl, and we were thinking we want to go for the Super Bowl. So in my world, yes, you want to win the North because that's just a standard. You have to live up to the standard. But ultimately, it still feels like there was this greater picture that will no longer be able to be accomplished.
Certainly, I hear you. I hear you there. I think that this team, if they can get some confidence in the fact, if they go into the playoffs as a 7 seed, you can pretty much chalk it up and be like, all right, first round exit, right? Whoever they catch, right? And well, holy cow, would they play the Bears?
They might.
The 2 plays the 7, right? Because the 1 has a bye.
Yeah.
That would be something. Anyway, they're probably on a crash course regardless because they just keep flipping from the 2 to the 7.
Yep.
Like, holy cow. All right. So I think this, right? Like if they can win the North, that gives them like this boost of like, all right, hey, we're down and out, right? We've gotten these 2 major gut punches, this right hook, left hook of losing Tucker Kraft and then losing Micah Parsons. But guess what? We still won the North. And guess what? We're having a home playoff game, potentially against our hated division rival, our little brothers, right? Like that would be, all right, hey, let's get some belief going. Let's get some positivity going. Like I think that winning the North, Andrew, from like if you go back to July and you're like, hey, if they win the North, what did you feel? You'd be like, all right, that ain't it. But now it's like, all right, you win the North and you get a home playoff game. Now you can start to build some momentum, man. And you can start starting to feel yourself and start building a little bit of belief that, hey, we're in the playoffs. Why can't we make a run? The NFC feels wide open outside of the Rams. Why can't we do it? And I think that part's the positivity.
The only not concerned, but we've between you and I, we've probably watched a million games of NFL football, right, in our lives. And if you've learned anything about NFL playoff football, there's 2 things you have to have. You got to be hot, right? Yeah. And this team has been hot and cold all year. And then the second thing you got to have is health, and they don't have health. It's not always the best team that makes the run to the Super Bowl. It's the team that has those 2 things, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what worries me. I still think, and I like what you said there, the North is the North, right? The standard is the standard. What was it, Tomlin who said that? The standard is the standard.
Yeah.
So that was the standard through all the years of Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. The North was just a given. So you've got to kind of take that back if you're Matt LaFleur, and at the end of the day, that's why this all comes back to coaching. Because can he say, okay, guys, we just lost our best player, but we still got football left ahead of us. And they do. They do. Right now, and every Packers fan I know is just so focused on, holy crap, we've lost Micah Parsons, but there's still football left to be played.
We talked about, I think you and I had the same exact conversation last week on the other side, where it's like they beat the Bears and we're so week to week in the NFL. It's like, all right, we can do it. We're going. And now this week you lose and you lose an injury. You lose your best player to injury. Like, blow it all up. Blow everything up. Take it out back and blow it up. And that's the thing, man. The NFL's week to week. Anything can happen. But I do think you're right. Like, let's talk big picture NFL for a second. Like, one of the hottest teams that I think everyone's really scared of right now would be the Houston Texans, because they're getting healthy and they are red hot right now. They're playing with so much confidence. It's like, you don't want to catch them because they got a good defense and their offense is finally coming along. But it goes to your point of, like, sometimes it's not the best team. Sometimes it's the healthiest team at the right time.
Yep. You know what? That's why we watch. That's why we watch, because anything could happen. And there's still 3 weeks of regular season football left. And God knows if this team makes the playoffs, the Packers, I won't feel 100%, primed for a run. But like you said, crazier things have happened in the NFL. I mean, crazier things have happened, and that's why we watch. So, you got anything else for us before we go? Any other words of wisdom, or
How's Christmas? How's Santa shopping doing?
You know what, Anthony? I don't think you have any kids just yet, do you?
I do not have kids yet.
So when you have kids, I got to be quiet because they might still be up there. But you gotta, you have this stupid little elf that you send around.
I'm familiar. Yep.
Yeah. You send the stupid elf around, and if you forget to move it, you got to come up with the excuse for why it like to stay where it is. And let's just say that's caused some issues in the Kula house.
What's Elfie's name in the Kula house?
Somehow Elf got named Harriet.
Okay, what's Harriet's?
I don't know.
What's Harriet's best hiding spot or new place, Ben?
I'll put this out there for everybody. Harriet made it up on the roof the other day.
Oh,
yes. It was great. So
I love that. That is awesome.
Harriet had to make up for a couple lack of moves, and so it's had to go big or go home.
Oh, Harriet's got a lot of heart.
That's all you need. You need a little health, a little heart, and you can go the rest of the way. So
That's right.
Well, awesome. Everybody over on Packers Roundtable, Anthony, we are well over 100 members now. We're getting up to 130 at this juncture. Week by week, we're seeing growth, and I think there's a lot to be excited about for the future of Packers Roundtable as well as Roundtable Sports. And you're a big part of that, man.
Yeah, thanks everybody for following. If you follow us here, awesome. If you catch, we're all over. I'm on a bunch of different pages, so go check us out. There's a page for every team. So if it's a college team, if it's a pro team, if it's basketball, baseball, whatever, go find your team, go follow along because it's a lot of fun on this new platform.
Some may even say that you're the face of the network.
No.
I know it's not me.
You got to send that to our bosses.
Yeah. Well, when you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, you get what you can. Get what you can. All right, folks. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you made it this far, we appreciate you. And we will talk to you next week. Hopefully after the Packers beat the Chicago Bears, and we're all gonna be. It's a roller coaster, man. We're up and down, and we'll take it as it comes.
That's right.
All right. See you, everybody.